Chapter 71. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yan Qingyuan's demeanor had completely changed. She was cold and detached, even from 10 yards away. Gu Shaoyang could feel the chilling intent radiating from her. Asterisk still can't escape this. Gu Shaoyang braced himself, ready for a fight. Yan Qingyuan didn't seem to be in a rush. She walked towards him, each step deliberate. The full force of her Ningxian realm power pressed down on Gu Shaoyang, making him feel like he was carrying a mountain. Finally, she stopped less than 2 feet away. Gu Shaoyang could see the curve of her pale neck and the delicate lines of her collarbone. Gu Shaotian was frozen in terror, practically waiting to die. Yan Qingyuan slowly raised her hand. Gu Shaoyang's eyes narrowed, and he prepared to strike. Suddenly, a cool, smooth hand gently covered the back of his. Gu Shaoyang was stunned. Yan Qingyuan frowned slightly, a hint of confusion on her face. Then, understanding dawned on Gu Shaoyang. Extraction, comprehension *13, root bone *20, Yuanli *123, killing intent *1789. Yan Qingyuan's frown smoothed out, and a look of soft contentment spread across her face. Her clear eyes, like lake water, locked onto Gu Shaoyang. She whispered, "What's your name?" Gu Shaoyang hesitated, then replied, "Gu Shaoyang, from the Qinyan sect." Yan Qingyuan released his hand and waved dismissively. "You can go." Gu Shaotian visibly sagged with relief. He didn't understand what had just happened, but he tugged frantically at Gu Shaoyang's sleeve. "Senior brother Gu, let's get out of here." Gu Shaoyang nodded, gave Yan Qingyuan one last look, and quickly retreated. Yan Qingyuan watched him disappear, then pouted and sighed. "His scent is so comforting. I could tie him to my side forever." Qinyan sect, Gu Shaoyang, We'll meet again. Outside the Yaowu Mountains, King Xiaoyao placed his final chess piece. "Master Mingxin, you've lost again." Mingxin shook his head, a wry smile on his face. "Your Majesty is too skilled. I'm no match." King Xiaoyao chuckled. "It's not my skill. It's that your mind is troubled, Master Mingxin." Mingxin didn't reply, acknowledging the truth. How could my mind not be troubled? He thought, with that demon star running amok. If I could just solve Tiany's problem, everything would be fine. Just then, a group emerged from the Lianjue area of Yaowu Mountain, led by the handsome young man Xie Tiany. Ming Xian's eyes lit up. He rushed to Xie Tiany, scrutinizing him. He saw that Xie Tiany was shaken and his clothes were torn, but fortunately, he was mostly unharmed. Mingxin sighed in relief. "Elder, I'm a failure. I only managed to get 3 spring hunting flags." Xie Tiany handed over 3 small flags. Looking ashamed, Ming Xian waved it off. Just surviving under those circumstances is a victory in itself. The flags don't matter. Xie Tiany looked puzzled. "Do you know who I was fighting?" Ming Xian nodded. "She caused chaos in the Qian kingdom years ago, with a murderous intent I've rarely seen. If she hadn't been Emperor Yan's beloved daughter, she would have been killed long ago. The fact that she spared you. Perhaps she really has mellowed out in these past 3 years. Is she truly as docile as King Xiaoyao claims?" "Emperor Yan's daughter?" Xie Tiany stammered, then said, "The one I fought was a man." Ming Xian was completely taken aback. At that moment, the other members of the royal family emerged from the forest, their previous arrogance replaced with dejected expressions. "Not a single flag." King Xiaoyao seemed to expect this and wasn't bothered. He continued to stare intently at the exit. Finally, a girl in palace robes walked out. She was beautiful, young and shy. Blushing at the attention, she looked delicate and appealing, and many people stared openly. King Xiaoyao widened his eyes, not because of her beauty, but in shock. The girl approached King Xiaoyao and said softly, "Uncle, I didn't get anything in the spring hunt. I've let you down." King Xiaoyao was speechless. Master Mingxin, on the other hand, burst into smiles. "I didn't want to believe it, but it seems Princess Qingyuan is as docile, well-behaved, and generous as you said, Your Majesty." Mingxin was overjoyed. The result was far better than he'd hoped. Not only was Xie Tianyi alive and well, but they had also won the spring hunt. Two pleasant surprises. King Shaoyang was still in a daze, struggling to believe what he was seeing. He had seen Yan Qingyuan's murderous aura upon emerging from the Shilong pond. It was stronger than it had been 3 years ago. How could she have become such a sweet lady in the blink of an eye? Qingyuan, you. But before King Shaoyang could finish, Yan Qingyuan interrupted, Uncle, please don't ask. I met someone I like in Yaowu Mountain. She pursed her lips and smiled, radiating shy happiness, someone she likes. Someone she likes, King Xiaoyao's mind reeled. Qingyun sect, a group walked through the inner gate, each with a small crescent moon embroidered on their robes. The 4 sects competition is fast approaching. We're visiting Hanyue Valley. We might end up competing with Qingyun sect disciples. Don't shame Hanyue Valley. Yes, sir. The Hanyue Valley disciples responded in unison. Among them was a beautiful girl with a mole near her eyebrow who seemed distracted, looking around as if searching for someone. A handsome man next to her spoke softly, Junior Sister Ji Xian, we're visiting Qingyun sect this time. I'll be facing Song Qianyu, the best in the inner sect. Who do you think will win? That the girl replied absently, Senior Brother Han is extremely talented and will surely defeat Song Qianyu, bringing even greater glory to Hanyue Valley. Chapter 71.1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just a heads up, we're heading into some seriously awesome arcs soon, the 4-sect competition, the Heroes List Showdown, and the 9 Kingdoms Hidden Dragon List Battle. It's gonna be wild. Okay, so the book officially drops tonight at midnight. I'm dropping 5 chapters right away, that's all I had saved up, and then I'll post more after I wake up. Aiming for over 10 updates that day, gonna level with you guys for a sec. Things haven't been great, I was practically begging for love, flowers, votes, the whole shebang, during the launch, but the response was underwhelming. I pour my heart into this, honestly, besides my own love for writing, the only thing that keeps me going is your support, whether it's flowers, ratings, monthly passes, tips, or just a simple comment. So many times, I get super hyped about a plotline, thinking you'll all love it, but then I post it and, crickets. Not even a single word. It's a real gut punch, kills my motivation instantly. There have been times I've stared at my computer, bursting with ideas, but I just can't bring myself to write them down. Why? Because it feels like so few people are actually invested. If nobody's reading, what's the point? But still, I pushed through to the release. 5, sometimes 6 chapters a day. Even when the love wasn't rolling in, I'd try to find a reason to drop another chapter, like I was trying to convince myself. It's kinda pathetic, even I admit, so I'm really hoping you'll all come out and support the initial launch tonight. If you're following the book, please grab a copy right away, because that initial surge is super important. You've probably heard that a million times, I know. The current price is 7,000 points, and I'm hoping for at least 2,000 first-day subscriptions. Basically, if just a third of the people who are following the book jump in tonight, I'd be thrilled. Those 2,000 subs would give me the fuel I need to crank out 10 chapters a day, no problem. I'll keep this train rolling, so yeah, bottom line, please support the initial release and grab a custom order. Thanks a bunch. Your humble author, Gan Tianming, wishing you happy reading this May Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Snag a deposit now, from April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The handsome guy smirked, then asked, so, little sis, who are you looking for? Just someone. Ji Xian started to say a friend, but then she remembered the jerk in the Qilian Mountains who'd robbed her blind and then ditched her. Her teeth practically ground themselves. What a scumbag, that the handsome guy's face hardened. If some knucklehead in the Qingyun sect's messing with you, sis, I'll set him straight. You name him. Ji Xian started to say something, then realized she didn't even know the dude's name. She shook her head, annoyed. Forget it. I'll run into him sooner or later. This guy had taken down Zhuo Changfeng, who was ranked 7th in Tianfeng Valley's inner circle, back when they were just starting out. He had to be somebody in the Qinyan sect. Ji Xian felt a little better. The handsome guy nodded, and when Ji Xian didn't say anything else, he turned to head off. Bro. A Hanyu Valley disciple talking to someone else called out when the handsome guy approached, with a mix of respect and fear. If Gu Shaoyang had been there, he'd have recognized this dude as Han Shao, the one whose hand he'd chopped off. Hanyu said coolly, "My dad and the Beishua Villa guy smoothed things over about your hand. But you still embarrassed the Han family. I hear the guy who did it is one of those Qinyan sect guys. Take this chance to get our reputation back." Han Shao nodded solemnly, but remembering the terror and helplessness he'd felt when Gu Shaoyang had broken his hand, he couldn't hide the anxiety on his face. Hanyu frowned slightly. "With me here, what are you scared of?" "Right." Han Shao hung his head, looking resentful. Han Yu's eyes flashed with disappointment as he looked at Han Zhao's submissive posture, and he turned to the person beside him. Lu Qian jumped like a startled deer when Han Yu glanced at her. "Senior brother Han Yu." Han Yu scoffed. "Lay off hanging around with chicks like her." He turned and walked away. Lu Qian's pretty face flushed, burning with shame and anger. She squeezed Han Zhao's hand and spat out a name, Gu Shaoyang. "Elder Lin." "Long time no see, Elder Gu." Hanyu Valley's Gu Jun and the Qinyan sect elder in charge of the reception, Lin, greeted each other. The Hanyu Valley and Qinyan sect disciples eyed each other warily, sensing the tension. "Beishua Villa and Tianfeng Valley are tight. Our sects gotta watch each other's backs." "Couldn't agree more, Elder Lin. That's why I brought my guys to check out your talented disciples." Gu Jun chuckled and gestured for Hanyu to come forward. Hanyu stepped up and bowed to Lin Hasong. "Greetings, Elder Lin." Elder Lin nodded with a smile. "Haven't seen you in years, nephew Hanyu. You're really coming into your own." Hanyu piped up, "Elder Lin, where's senior brother Song Qinyu? Last time the four sects competed, he totally crushed Hanyu Valley's Shaolan. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I wasn't strong enough to challenge senior brother Song back then. But a few months ago, I got lucky and beat Shaolan for the top spot in the inner circle. I came hoping to go up against senior brother Song." Hanyu oozed confidence and charisma. The Hanyu Valley disciples were impressed, and plenty of the Qinyan sect girls were drawn in. Senior brother Han broke through to the late stage of Juyuan when he was just 20 and came out of nowhere to beat Shaolan. He deserves to be the number one in the Hanyu Valley inner circle. Senior brother Han's gonna take down Song Qinyu this time and make Hanyu Valley famous. Go get senior brother Han. That even Hanyu Valley's leader Gu Jun was beaming, clearly pleased with Hanyu. Elder Lin glanced at Hanyu, smiled, and said casually, "Afraid I'm gonna have to disappoint you, nephew Hanyu. Song Qinyu joined the army 3 months ago. He's a core disciple now, no longer in the inner circle." "Oh." Hanyu looked bummed. "Right, Song Qinyu is a couple years older than me. With his talent, he should be in the Ningxuan realm already." Then he scanned the Qinyan disciples around him, shook his head, and sighed. "Song Qinyu was the only guy in the whole Qinyan sect I wanted to tangle with. These guys, this trip's a bust." The Qinyan sect inner circle disciples bristled. "Who does he think he is? That's arrogant. Does he think Qinyan sect has got no one to fight with him? Senior brother Song isn't here, and senior brother Shui Haoyu and senior brother Chui Nan don't want to waste their time." Elder Lin looked miffed. He'd just been praising Hanyu, and now this dude was acting like Qinyan sect was a joke. "Hanyu, you're out of line." Gu Jun scolded Hanyu half-heartedly, but he was smiling. He looked pleased. Qinyan sect and Hanyu Valley were allies, but they still had a rivalry. They didn't get involved, and might even encourage it a little. Hanyu sneered, looking down his nose at the angry Qinyan sect disciples. The Hanyu Valley disciples looked arrogant, smug, and proud. "Since senior brother Song isn't here, I'll just head back." Hanyu clasped his fists, ready to leave. Just then, a good-looking young guy stepped out of the crowd. Han Yu, don't say Qingyun sect's got nobody. I'll take you on, that everyone looked at him. The Qingyun sect disciples got excited and murmured, it's senior brother Shui Haoyu. Told you Shui and the others wouldn't let Han Yu get away with that. Go get him, brother Shui. Han Yu looked at Shui Haoyu, unimpressed. Who are you? Shui Haoyu puffed out his chest. Qingyun sect inner circle, number 2, Shui Haoyu. Han Yu shook his head. You're too weak. Not worth my time. What? Shui Haoyu's handsome face went red. The Qingyun sect disciples started yelling. Han Yu was going too far. Arrogant. Seeing that Han Yu wasn't taking him seriously, Shui Haoyu drew his sword and charged at Han Yu. Han Yu didn't react, just sidestepped him. Shui Haoyu seized the chance and attacked, his sword turning into a blur. 100 rivals competing for power. Han Yu shook his head slightly and held out a palm. A terrifying surge of Yuan power burst out, easily shattering Shui Haoyu's sword. Shui Haoyu looked angry, raised his sword again, and yelled, two swords become one. An even more powerful surge of sword energy blasted towards Han Yu. Han Yu's eyes lit up. Now we're talking. Jade palm. Han Yu made a giant green palm print, which crashed into Shui Haoyu's sword energy, causing a deafening roar. They were evenly matched for a split second, then the palm print plowed through the sword energy like a hot knife through butter and slammed into Shui Haoyu. Han Yu laughed. So what if you have 20% sword power? It has no spirit. I'm also using 20% palm power, but I'm gonna beat you like a red-headed stepchild. Shui Haoyu felt like he'd been hit by a truck, spitting up blood and flying backwards. People gasped. Just then, a pair of massive, hand-like hands caught Shui Haoyu. A huge figure slowly stepped forward. It's senior brother Cui Nan. Yes. Cui Nan's here. Cui Nan focused his energy, staring at Han Yu. His powerful frame radiated a faint sense of menace. Han Yu raised his eyebrows and grinned. So, now you're number 1 in the inner circle after Song Qinyu joined the Ningxuan. Fine with me. Han Yu glanced at the injured Shui Haoyu and the other inner circle disciples. Other than Song Qinyu, the Qingyun sect inner circle is full of chumps. If any of you want some, come at me all at once. I'll take care of you all together. The place erupted. The Qingyun sect disciples glared at Han Yu, but along with the rage, they felt powerless. Han Yu was seriously strong, even Shui Haoyu couldn't last one move. While the fight was about to break out, Ji Xian was still craning her neck, scanning the Hanyu Valley group. She was looking for someone. Where was he? With his strength and personality, there's no way he's missed this. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 73. Han Yu sized up the imposing Cui Nan and said coolly, you're not bad, better than him. He glanced at a fuming Shui Haoyu, then, Han Yu switched gears. But you're still not a match for me. He scanned the crowd, and when no one stepped forward, he chuckled and shook his head. Why don't you two come at me together? Otherwise, this is just boring. Shui Haoyu, bristling with anger, started to speak, but Cui Nan strode forward, his voice deep. Enough talk. Beat me first. The Qingyun sect disciples erupted in cheers. Go get him, senior brother Cui Nan. Show him what's what. He's so arrogant. Cui Nan's gotten even stronger these past few months. I could barely breathe when he walked past. And Han Yu's saying they should team up. Cui Nan could take him solo. Let's be real, Cui Nan's a level above Shui Haoyu. Han Yu ignored the commentary, a faint, contemptuous smile playing on his lips. Vajra cover. Cui Nan roared, his large hand, like a paddle, slamming down on Han Yu, a mountain bearing down. His muscles throbbed with raw power, creating mini sonic booms. This move alone showed Cui Nan was much stronger than he'd been 3 months ago, his arm strength up by at least 1,100 pounds. Alright, Han Yu chuckled, extending a palm to meet Cui Nan's, bang, star. The mismatched palms collided with tremendous force, like a crashing cymbal. Cui Nan stumbled backward, digging deep gouges in the hard ground. Han Yu, however, remained planted like a pine, not budging an inch. Whoa! The watching Qingyun sect disciples gasped, horror in their eyes. Han Yu's even stronger than senior brother Cui Nan. Han Yu held out his hands, his slender palms now pearly white with a jade-like glow. Unfortunately for you, I've also trained my body. Cui Nan's face clouded over as he attacked again. Vajra Pyuyo, double elephant power. A terrifying force radiated from him, with a hint of aura. 1.5 palms. Senior brother Cui Nan broke through with his Vajra covering palm. Xue Haoyu exclaimed from the sidelines, a hint of excitement in his voice. Facing Cui Nan's devastating palm, Han Yu remained unfazed. He let out a roar, terrifying Yuan energy erupting from his body, creating a small dust devil. I was saving this for Song Qianyu, but fine, you can have it. Han Yu leaped high like a bird, the long sword at his waist flashing from its sheath like a divine weapon, and slowly thrust outward. Netherworld. A dark, profound aura emanated from Han Yu, shadows seeming to spread behind him. Seeing the sword, everyone felt a chill. Han Yu's blade fell, and pieces of Cui Nan's Vajra covering palm shattered. Cui Nan's eyes widened as he saw his palm covered in layers of black frost. Shocked, he retreated as fast as he could, but Han Yu's sword was relentless, chasing him without mercy. Finally. Ugh! Cui Nan groaned, clutching his chest and half kneeling on the ground, his lips blue and purple, as if he'd been frostbitten. No way! The Qingyun sect disciples cried, shocked. He had palm intent before, but now it's sword intent. This Han Yu's a monster. Cui Nan couldn't even take one sword from him. On the other hand, Hanyu Valley was elated. Someone laughed. Why do you think senior brother Han Yu came from behind to snag the top spot? Netherworld sword intent is unmatched. And senior brother Han Yu didn't even use half his strength. Elder Lin, who was observing, looked shocked. Han Yu actually mastered our Hanyu Valley's Netherworld Sword Sutra. Amazing. Gu Jun smiled. Han Yu is truly exceptional. His talent and comprehension are top tier. Even Shaolong isn't as good. I don't think you'll find anyone in Qingyun sect's inner circle who can compare, even with Song Qianyu not having broken Ningxin yet. Elder Lin smiled slightly. Song Qianyu is indeed not his equal. But to say no one in our Qingyun sect can compare in talent and understanding? That might not be true. Huh? Gu Jun was surprised. Besides Song Qianyu, do you have another genius in your inner sect? Elder Lin simply smiled. At this point, Han Yu sheathed his sword and stood tall. He looked at the defeated Cui Nan and Xue Haoyu, his expression blank. I told you, you should have teamed up. It's a shame I couldn't use this sword on Song Qianyu. Heh. Cui Nan suddenly chuckled, looking at Han Yu. You really think you're invincible, don't you? Han Yu frowned slightly, then said disdainfully, I've defeated the so-called first and second-ranked disciples of Qingyun sect. Is anyone else worth my time? Should I drag Song Qianyu out here? Cui Nan looked oddly at him. When did I say I was number one? Han Yu and the Hanyu Valley disciples were taken aback. Cui Nan continued casually, I'm barely third. If this guy hadn't gotten lucky and senior brother Song hadn't left, he'd be fourth. Xue Haoyu blushed at the accusation but didn't argue. Cui Nan stood up with effort, looking at Han Yu with a half-smile. Our top guy is more than 10 times stronger than Xue Haoyu and me combined. Even senior brother Song was defeated by him. Song Qianyu was defeated by one person. Han Yu was shocked. Oh, I almost forgot. Cui Nan put on a sudden face and sighed. When senior brother Song fought him, he was already at the condensation realm. What? A flicker of shock crossed Han Yu's face as the Hanyu Valley disciples exchanged doubtful glances. Only Ji Xian felt a strange tug in her heart raced, her intuition telling her that the top guy Cui Nan mentioned was the one she was searching for. The Qingyun sect disciples, previously deflated, perked up, joining in the conversation. Yeah, if our senior brother Gu was here, you wouldn't be so cocky. Senior Brother Gu would crush Han Yu in 3 moves. Netherworld sword intent. Huh, Senior Brother Gu will show you what sword intent really is. Senior Brother Gu, Lu Qian and Han Xiaochu paused, then shook their heads. Asterisk impossible. It couldn't be Gu Shaoyang, star. As the commotion grew, Han Yu's expression darkened, he suddenly snorted coldly, and a wave of terrifying energy silenced the crowd. His gaze sweeping the field, he raised his sword and shouted, "If this person you're talking about is so amazing, why isn't he here to fight me?" The air hung heavy as Qingyun sect disciples hung their heads. Yeah, no matter what we say, it's a shame Senior Brother Gu isn't here. Han Yu sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. Do you think I'll believe you just made someone up? Even if there is such a person, he doesn't even dare show his face in front of Han Yu. I bet he is a total coward. Before he could finish, a cold voice drifted from afar. Oh yeah? I'm here now. What do you want? At the sound of the voice, the Qingyun sect disciples lifted their heads in excitement. Elder Lin also smiled. Everyone followed the sound, parting to make way as the Qingyun disciples looked on in awe. A tall figure strode into view. It's him. Ji Xian recognized the voice, her eyes widening as she tried to get a better look. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The man who arrived was slender, handsome, and radiated a cold, aristocratic air. He wore the same blue shirt as everyone else, yet he possessed an undeniable presence. Brother Gu. Senior Brother Gu, you're finally here. Every Qingyun disciple who saw him displayed genuine admiration. He immediately became the center of attention. It was him. Ji Xian finally saw the man's delicate, captivating features, and her face flushed with excitement. Suddenly, she remembered she was from Hanyue Valley. Why were these Qingyun sect people so thrilled to see him? She tried to calm her racing heart, but her beautiful eyes remained fixed on him. It's him. How can it be him? Lu Qian stared at the approaching figure in disbelief. Gu Shaoyang really was Gu Shaoyang. He was the acknowledged leader of the Qingyun sect, on par with Senior Brother Han Yu. Lu Qian was in a daze, feeling like she was in a dream. Beside her, Han Xiao was also watching Gu Shaoyang intently, biting her lip. Lost in thought, Han Yu narrowed his eyes, studying the sudden arrival of the Qingyun sect leader. Song Qianyu of the Ningxuan realm was defeated by him. A sense of unease settled in Han Yu's heart. So, you're the Senior Brother Gu they're all talking about? Gu Shaoyang asked, his gaze chilling. Does that mean everyone in Qingyun sect's inner circle is named Han Yu? Han Yu's face darkened, the Qingyun disciples chuckled, Cui Nan leading the laughter. What's your name? Han Yu asked coldly. Gu Shaoyang shook his head calmly. No rush. Han Yu was taken aback and about to respond when Gu Shaoyang continued, if you can survive my sword, then you can ask again. The word stunned Han Yu and the Hanyue Valley disciples. The arrogance. They had never witnessed such brazenness. A wave of jubilation erupted from the Qingyun sect, some members taunting Hanyue Valley. Did you hear that? If you can't even withstand Senior Brother Gu's sword, you don't deserve to know his full name. Looks like they're out of luck. Ha ha. The faces of the Hanyue Valley disciples were grim, and an odd feeling settled in their hearts. Ever since Senior Brother Gu appeared, the Qingyun sect disciples seemed to have transformed. They emanated a palpable sense of ease and complete confidence. There wasn't a hint of Senior Brother Gu might lose in their eyes. They were convinced of his invincibility, as if Han Yu couldn't even survive a single strike. Han Yu scoffed. Pointing his sword at Gu Shaoyang, he declared, I hope your sword is as sharp as your tongue. Gu Shaoyang, expressionless, placed his hand on the hilt and said to Han Yu with deadly seriousness, remember, use everything you've got. Han Yu frowned, and the next moment, a blinding flash of sword light erupted before his eyes. The rest of Gu Shaoyang's words reached his ears. Otherwise, you might die. A chill shot from Han Yu's spine to the back of his head. His skin crawled with goosebumps. He felt an unimaginable killing intent bearing down on him, as if he were being hunted by a predator. Han Yu reacted instinctively. Netherworld, he immediately unleashed his strongest attack, Netherworld sword intent. It wasn't that Han Yu didn't want to hold back, he couldn't, he had a nagging feeling that if he didn't put everything into this strike, he really might die. A cold, icy sword image materialized in the void. Before Han Yu could breathe a sigh of relief, the dazzling sword light suddenly grew and vanished, replaced by a churning sea of clouds with a solitary peak rising high. Gu Shaoyang stood on the peak, gazing down at him coldly. The golden sun peeked out from behind him, turning the light, the sea of clouds, the lonely peak, and the golden light, into an indescribable force. The pressure crushed down on him, as if the whole world was about to collapse. Han Yu's eyes widened in disbelief, and he roared, 50% sword intent. How is this possible? Elder Gu Jun, who had been smiling in the stands, suddenly looked up in horror and nearly fell. Lin Hasong. Gu Jun, stunned, turned to Elder Lin and asked, what is this kid? Netherworld. Han Yu desperately launched another attack. The two cold sword images shattered like glass under Gu Shaoyang's breathtaking sword light. Unable to stop its descent, Han Yu, like a madman, struck again and again. Jade palm. Tempered jade fist. But no matter how hard he tried, Gu Shaoyang's sword light crashed down like an unstoppable force. The razor-sharp sword intent made Han Yu feel like his head was about to be sliced into pieces, nowhere to hide, no way to resist, his eyes filled with terror and utter despair. No! Han Yu screamed, finally, boom, the sword light slammed into the ground, carving a massive trench more than 10 feet long and several feet wide in the fine bluestone floor of the martial arts stage. Han Yu, dazed, half knelt on the ground, holding his sword, his body covered in blood. Drenched in cold sweat, he had lost every trace of the arrogance he displayed before, the same arrogance that had been crushed by Shui Haoyu and Cui Nan's swords. It wasn't just Han Yu, all the Hanyu Valley disciples were speechless, shocked. They were shocked beyond words, and fear consumed them. The invincible senior brother Han Yu hadn't even survived a single strike from the leader of the Qingyun sect. Though they hadn't faced the terrifying force of that sword, they could feel the suffocating pressure emanating from the stray sword energy. They finally understood why the Qingyun sect disciples had become so confident and determined since this man had appeared. 50% sword intent. Even talented late-stage Jiyuan cultivators couldn't withstand a single one of his moves. This legendary senior brother Gu was nothing short of a monster. Ji Xian covered her mouth, stifling a gasp. She stared at Gu Shaoyang on the stage, her eyes sparkling. This guy's gotten a lot stronger, what a name. Lu Qian's face was deathly pale. She looked at the stage, a single thought racing through her mind, this isn't real, this isn't real. Lu Qian turned to Han Shao, only to find her head bowed, her shoulders trembling slightly, as if she were frightened, but as she reached out to comfort her, Han Shao suddenly raised her head, a strange smile on her face. She whispered, Junior sister Lu, you know, I'm so happy. I've never seen my brother like this, completely defeated, lying on the ground like a dog. A chill ran down Lu Qian's spine. On the stage, Gu Shaoyang slowly sheathed his sword and said to Han Yu, his voice devoid of emotion, a chicken or a dog? You can't even take one of my swords. I think Hanyu Valley might as well withdraw from the four-sex competition now. Ugh. Han Yu's body spasmed. He clenched his fists so hard that his nails pierced his skin, drawing blood without him even realizing it. The Qingyun sect disciples erupted in unrestrained joy, their faces filled with excitement and elation. Senior Brother Gu is amazing. I've always said, nobody can beat Senior Brother Gu in a sword fight. That the Hanyu Valley disciples were completely deflated. They looked downcast and miserable. A certain beautiful girl with a mole between her eyebrows shook her fist at Gu Shaoyang threateningly. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 75. Gu Shaoyang sat in his room, eyes tightly shut. A moth fluttered in through the window. Suddenly, Gu Shaoyang's eyes snapped open. A flash of what looked like blood shimmered in the air. The moth landed on the floor, stiffened, and died. Gu Shaoyang stood, walked to the window, and gently picked up the moth. To kill a moth 5 meters away with just killing intent, without using any Yuan power. This killing sword intent is truly something else. It had been 7 days since his duel with Han Yu. In those 7 days, except for Elder Gu Jun's daily visits to Elder Lin, nearly all the Hanyu Valley disciples kept to themselves, quite a change from their arrogant attitude when they first came to Qingyun sect. Gu Shaoyang had soundly defeated Han Yu, giving them a taste of humiliation, and when they finally asked about Gu Shaoyang, they discovered he was only 18. 2 years younger than Han Yu, 18, late Jiyuan stage, and wielding 50% sword power. It was enough to scare anyone witless. If the visit wasn't almost over, and they didn't have to attend the 4 sects competition with the Qingyun sect, they might have already gone home. Now, the competition was almost upon them. Coming back from Blackstone Town took more than a month. He'd mastered Hanhai Xian Gong, and his cultivation reached the late Jiyuan stage. Plus, after absorbing half the sword tomb key, he'd gained 50% of the Chuyang sword intent. Han Yu was strong, but he couldn't even touch a sword that wasn't at full power. Gu Shaoyang mused. Could I beat Yan Qingyuan now if I used all my cards? Speaking of, Gu Shaoyang had Yan Qingyuan to thank. He'd extracted tens of thousands of killing intent points from Yan Qingyuan, intending to discard them. But then, Gu Shaoyang got an idea and tried absorbing some. He almost lost it. If he hadn't been alone in the wilderness, it might have led to a massacre, but after he'd digested the killing intent, he suddenly realized he'd inexplicably gained a sword intent so powerful that his eyes turned blood red when he used it, and his temperament turned violent and murderous. Gu Shaoyang named it killing sword intent. After absorbing all the killing intent from Yan Qingyuan, Gu Shaoyang's killing sword intent reached 20%, only 20%, less than even half the Chuyang sword intent. But if I combine the killing sword intent with instant kill, the burst of power might even surpass the sun and moon sinking move. In just over a month, he'd completely eaten a low-grade spirit storage ring. The power of shrinking to an inch and instant kill had also greatly increased. Gu Shaoyang was certain he could face Song Qianyu in the Ningxin realm and still defeat him with a single sword. His strength had grown to a terrifying level that even he wasn't fully aware of. Only the Ningxin realm could stand against him. Gu Shaoyang's eyes flashed. I'm going to take first place in this 4 sects competition. Maybe he should start thinking bigger. Wei Zhuang, Bei Linjiang. He still wanted that King Xian slate Ji Feng had. Brother Gu. Du Yang, the handyman, hesitantly announced himself. His eyes were full of worship. Senior Brother Gu's feat of defeating Hanyu Valley with one sword had spread through both sects, and even as a handyman, he was now more respected. What is it? Du Yang said respectfully. There's a senior sister from Hanyu Valley at the door. She says she needs to talk to you. Hanyu Valley. A girl? Gu Shaoyang was puzzled but nodded and went downstairs. He saw a graceful figure in the hall, looking at him intently. The girl had beautiful features, and a faint red mole between her eyebrows made her radiant. It was Ji Xian from Hanyu Valley, whom he'd met before. It's you. You remember me. Ji Xian's eyes lit up with joy. Gu Shaoyang nodded. What do you want? Hearing his cold tone, she felt deflated. She whispered, You still owe me something. She gathered her courage to look at him. It's Hanyu Valley property. I said I'd get it back. Gu Shaoyang frowned, finding Ji Xian's apprehensive demeanor funny. He threw a spirit storage ring to Ji Xian. The 2 manuals are inside. You can forget about the Yuansha thing, I've already used it. He'd already learned the shadow sword technique, but the 3-yin Xian Gong was useless to him, so Gu Shaoyang returned them to save this woman from causing trouble. Ji Xian stared at the ring, surprised that Gu Shaoyang had returned it so quickly. Seeing her hesitation, Gu Shaoyang asked, Anything else? Ji Xian threw the ring back at Gu Shaoyang. This isn't Hanyu Valley's. I don't want it. Gu Shaoyang frowned. He'd eaten the low-grade spirit storage ring a long time ago. This one came from the ghost owl. I lost that one. This is the only one I have. Both are low-grade, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Ji Xian looked at him seriously. I want the original one. Come find me when you have it. She left. Gu Shaoyang thought, this woman is a real pain. Does she think she's in a romance? he snorted and went upstairs. Du Yang shook his head, thinking, senior brother Gu, she's not here for that. She's here for you. That's the most beautiful woman in Hanyu Valley. Everyone wants to get close to her, but they can't. Senior brother Gu has no idea how to be charming. Half a month passed, the disciples of Qingyun sect in Hanyu Valley gathered. The elders of the two sects led the team to Beishua Villa. Gu Shaoyang stood at the front of the Qingyun sect's disciples, a star surrounded by moons. Hanyu Valley was led by Hanyu. After losing to Gu Shaoyang, Hanyu was shaken and looked much gloomier. Almost everyone's eyes were fixed on Gu Shaoyang. Qingyun sect had worship and admiration, while Hanyu Valley mostly had fear and awe. The battle was still fresh in everyone's minds in Hanyu Valley. They would never forget Gu Shaoyang wielding his sword. Gu Shaoyang thought he saw Ji Xian glare at him, but when he looked, she'd quickly turned away. Good disciple, Lei Lai beamed when he saw Gu Shaoyang and waved. He was one of the elders leading the team. Gu Shaoyang walked over, and Lei Lai patted his shoulder and laughed. Well done. When we get to Beishua Villa, you have to shut those guys up and show them what the monsters of Qingyun sect are like. The next 4 sects competition will be at our Qingyun sect. Only the winning sect has the right to host the next competition. That was the rule. Elder Gu Jun of Hanyu Valley looked at Lei Lai, then at Gu Shaoyang, and felt torn. Even now, he couldn't help but marvel at Gu Shaoyang's talent. Hanyu was outstanding. There hadn't been a genius like him in Hanyu Valley for 10 years. But then he met Gu Shaoyang. The Qingyun sect had really struck gold, but imagining the expressions of Beishua Villa and Tianfeng Valley after seeing Gu Shaoyang, Gu Jun suddenly felt more relaxed. Hanyu Valley wouldn't be the only ones getting pushed around. Let's go. Lei Lai, beaming, gave the order. The elite disciples slowly left Qingyun Mountain as countless people watched. In a corner, a hunched figure appeared. If Gu Shaoyang was there, he'd recognize the elder guarding the scripture pavilion. Time is running out. I wonder if I'll see him take off. A once in 10,000 years genius, a sign of great prosperity for our Qingyun sect. Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Beishua Villa sits way up north in the Great Yuan Kingdom, a silver landscape perpetually blanketed in snow. It took the Qingyun sect and Hanyu Valley sect disciples half a month to get there. Lei Lai pointed towards a range of mountains in the distance, looking like an icy dragon sprawled out on the ground. That's Beishua Villa, he told Gu Shaoyang. Gu Shaoyang was a little taken aback. They called it a villa, but it practically covered an entire mountain range. It was a major sect all right. Word was, Beishua Villa churned out incredible swordsmen. Maybe the harsh, freezing environment was what forged such dominant and aggressive swordsmanship. The group entered Beishua Villa quickly. As soon as they entered the snow mountain, they were met by a few people in white robes. Arctic wind, you old codger, greeting guests again. The moment Lei Lai spotted the group, he laughed and went to greet them. But the gray-haired old man leading the group wasn't feeling Lei Lai's enthusiasm. He snorted, sidestepped Lei Lai, and quickly went up to the elders leading the team. Greetings, Elder Lin, Elder Gu. Lin and Gu returned the greeting with a smile. Lei Lai seemed disappointed, but didn't let it get to him. Keeping his smile plastered on, the group followed the Beishua Villa disciples as they climbed the snow mountain. Almost everyone who came to the 4 sects grand competition was a warrior in the Jiyuan realm or higher. Their cultivation wasn't bad and their stamina was good. They reached the top of the seemingly massive, snow-capped mountains in under an hour. There, a huge gate made entirely of ice and snow stood, with a massive black plaque hanging above. The words Beishua Villa were carved into it, each stroke radiating a sharp, murderous vibe. Gu Shaoyang stared at the plaque for a while, and he saw a massive golden bubble, sword intent *2467, floating on it. His eyes burned with desire when he saw it. If he hadn't been in a crowd and without his skills, he would have jumped up to absorb the bubbles. You all wait here for now. Elder Lin instructed them, then entered the villa with Lei Lai and the other elders. Once Elder Lin and the others disappeared, another Beishua disciple showed up and led the 2 groups of disciples in another direction. Gu Shaoyang noticed a lot of people around him were getting ready to fight, adjusting their stance. What's going on? Do we have to fight already? Gu Shaoyang wondered, as if sensing his confusion. A Qinyan sect disciple next to him explained in a low voice, Senior Brother Gu, there's something you don't know. Every time there's a 4 sects competition, all the disciples have to face the 8 passes of Beishue test before even entering Beishue Villa. 8 passes of Beishue. Gu Shaoyang's eyes showed confusion. The Qinyan disciple nodded. Yeah, it's an ancient formation. Legend has it that the founder of Beishue Villa went through the 8 passes of Beishue and gained the inheritance of swordsmanship, then founded the villa. The 8 passes of Beishue have been preserved since then. But over time, the formation fell into disrepair and lost its power. Now, Beishue Villa uses it as a trial for its disciples. These days, only 5 of the 8 passes are left. They're barely able to test Juyuan realm disciples like us. Gu Shaoyang asked, have you ever made it through? The disciple smiled sheepishly and nodded. I have, but I was eliminated on the 2nd level. Gu Shaoyang raised an eyebrow. Is it that tough? For us, it's tough. But for someone like Senior Brother Gu, clearing the level is a given. The real competition is about time. Time. Right. The disciple nodded. The time it takes to clear the first pass is the first contest before the main competition between the major sects. We're late this time. The Tianfeng Valley and Beishue Villa disciples should have already tried it. Just as he was talking, the Beishue Villa disciple leading them stopped. We're here. The enthusiastic Qinyan disciple whispered to Gu Shaoyang, Senior Brother Gu, go get him. We're all counting on you to bring glory to Qinyan sect. Gu Shaoyang gave a faint smile and heard a voice in his ear. Enter the pass. Inside Beishue Villa, a dozen elders in different robes and elite disciples from Beishue and Tianfeng sects gathered in front of a huge water curtain. The figures of the disciples from Qinyan sect in Hanyue Valley, about to undergo the trials, were clearly reflected on the water curtain. Beihan Mountain. A few more people came in. Lei Lai's booming voice made everyone turn to look. Elder Lin and the others looked embarrassed. As soon as Lei Lai entered, he strode up to a man with a wild beard and hair like a lion's mane. He clapped the old man on the shoulder, laughing. How's it going, buddy? Beihan Mountain looked at Lei Lai with a confused expression, and subconsciously put his hand on the handle of the sword at his waist, as if he was afraid that he would get angry and draw the sword at any time. What are you up to? I'm just so happy to be a guest at your Beishue Villa. Lei Lai laughed, then changed the subject. By the way, where's the disciple with the innate sword bones you were bragging about last time? Where is he? A slight stir went through the crowd, and many people glanced at a young disciple with a cold, expressionless face. Lei Lai glanced at him and praised him. Not bad at all. Bei Feng quietly walked up to Beihan Shan and whispered, this guy named Lei acted the same way when he saw me. Beihan Shan frowned and replied, this guy's always been a jerk. After he heard that I accepted Jianglan, he wouldn't even look at me. Why is he so happy today? Bei Feng shook his head. I don't know, and I don't know what's got into him. Maybe he's just gone soft in the head from sword practice. Humph. Lei Lai, who had been all smiles, suddenly turned his head and sneered at the two of them. Am I stupid from sword practice? You guys have practiced swordsmanship so much that your brains have turned to mush. Beihan Shan and Bei Feng breathed a sigh of relief and said to each other, there's the jerk named Lei we all know. Finally acting normal. Lei Lai's face turned red and he yelled urgently, Beihan Shan, don't get too cocky. Didn't you accept a kid with innate sword bones? I just happened to have accepted a disciple recently, let's take this opportunity to compare them, shall we? Beihanshan puffed his beard and glared. Compare? You think your Qinyan sect can find someone who can compete with Jianglan? I don't believe it. What are the stakes? Haven't you always wanted the Xian Yuan sword manual in my possession? I'll bet that sword manual against those few sword intention stones you got at King Xian's tomb last time. Deal. Lei Lai readily agreed. At this point, Elder Lin and Gu Jun quickly stepped in to smooth things over. We've been old friends for years, let's not hurt our friendship over this. Beihanchen said, no, I have to bet with him this time. Jiang Lan's talent is so high, I don't think your Qingyun Sex Wei Zhuang can match him. I don't believe Lei Lai's disciple can be better than Jiang Lan. Elder Lin and Gu Jun exchanged a strange look. Ahem. Elder Lin coughed lightly and said, then, let's join in. Just beat Elder Lei Lai to win, Gu Jun said impatiently. Well. Beihanchen was stunned, his eyes darting back and forth between the three elders, Lei Lai, Gu Jun, and Lin. He felt a faint sense of uneasiness in his heart, as if he was being tricked, but thinking of Jiang Lan, Beihanchen's confidence returned. I want you, Lin Hasong, to personally forge a furnace of body-tempering pills, and I want your moon spring in Hanyu Valley to temper my good disciple's new sword. Okay. Elder Lin and Gu Jun agreed very simply, but the more this happened, the more Beihanchen felt that something was off. Just as he was about to back out, he suddenly heard Lei Lai's impatient voice. Okay, they've already entered the first level. Beihan Mountain, let's start by comparing the time it takes for them to clear the 5 passes of Beishue. All eyes were drawn to the scene on the water curtain. Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 77. Gu Shaoyang stepped into a circle of white light, and in an instant, everyone vanished, then, the scene around him morphed dramatically. Green grass sprouted beneath his feet, spreading rapidly until it covered everything in sight. Within seconds, Gu Shaoyang found himself in a vast prairie. He bent down and picked a blade of grass. It felt smooth and smelled faintly sweet. Impressive illusion. He thought. Suddenly, he noticed a bubble about 10 yards away. This one looked different. It was purple and seemed far more potent than any he'd absorbed before. Low-grade fantasy stone, psychedelic * 245, focus * 134. Gu Shaoyang considered absorbing these unprecedented attributes. But being inside an illusion array, he wasn't sure what might happen afterward. Just as he hesitated, the ground began to tremble. He looked up and saw a dark line appearing on the horizon. It was a horde of monsters, 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd level. He even spotted some 5th and 6th level creatures he'd never seen before. These beasts, with their ferocious faces and bloodshot eyes, charged toward him. The stampede of thousands of monsters converged, creating an overwhelming force that threatened to tear him apart. Grass flew, dust swirled. Gu Shaoyang remained calm. Since it's an illusion, it's all fake. He reasoned. This level, he suspected, was designed to test courage, knowing that and actually passing the test were two different things. Even if someone knew it wasn't real, facing such a realistic illusion and the impact of thousands of monsters could still break them. After all, people can wake up from nightmares, but nightmares are still terrifying. Gu Shaoyang took a deep breath, staring directly at the beasts closing in. He could see the drool dripping from their fangs and the sharpness of their claws. Finally, wham, the monsters crashed into Gu Shaoyang, and his mind recoiled from the repeated blows. He felt like a small boat being tossed about on a stormy sea. Absorb focus 134. Gu Shaoyang focused on absorbing the focus attribute and felt a wave of cold energy flow into his mind. Suddenly, the lone boat transformed into a boulder. The waves crashed against him, but Gu Shaoyang stood firm. The force of the impact became a gentle breeze. So this is the benefit of sharpened focus. He thought. The tide of monsters kept coming, but Gu Shaoyang felt it was taking too long. How long would he have to wait before the wave of beasts completed the level? Since the focus attribute had been acquired, Gu Shaoyang chose to extract and absorb psychedelic * 245. The next moment, everything disappeared. Someone passed the first level. A cool, handsome young man in blue appeared on the water screen, drawing everyone's attention. Lei Lai laughed, pointing at the screen. See? This is my star pupil. So fast. He blew away Jing Tong and Jiang Lan. He's not bad. Bei Feng stared at the screen. Lei Lai, this disciple is something else. Bei Han said, slightly annoyed, why are you so eager to brag? The first level is the easiest. I'd be surprised if he was slow. The real tests are later on. Lei Lai snorted and went back to watching without arguing. In the second level, Gu Shaoyang also found the location of the magic stone. He figured it was the key to the illusion. This time, it wasn't a prairie, but a dark battlefield. Broken swords, tattered banners, bones, and corpses littered the ground. Then, war drums echoed around Gu Shaoyang, and endless cavalry appeared, charging and yelling with murderous intent. The raw power generated by thousands of troops would scare most people to death on the spot. Seems this tests courage, he murmured. Gu Shaoyang quietly experienced the battlefield's intensity, absorbing the focus and psychedelic attributes. The second level fell as well. It's him again. Everyone was shocked to see the handsome young man in blue reappear. He did it in even less time than the first level. Arctic Wind exclaimed. Hanyu, of Hanyue Valley, just passed the first level now. The speaker, a handsome middle-aged man, sounded surprised. This was Fang Liang, one of the heads of Tianfeng Valley. Bei Hanshan stared at the youth on the screen, a serious look on his face. He didn't want to admit it, but this guy was clearing the first 2 levels faster than Jianglan. Beihan Mountain, what do you think of my disciple now? Lei Lai was getting cocky. Beihanshan wouldn't even look at him. Wait and see, he snapped. The third level, Gu Shaoyang stood before the bubbles of the magic stone, planning to repeat his previous strategy, experience the trial first, then clear the level. Thanks to his attribute absorption ability, this illusion felt like a cheat code. Plus, after absorbing the focus attribute twice, his mind felt sharper, and his understanding of his martial arts grew more solid. These 8 levels were made for students to sharpen their minds and solidify their resolve. But, this brute force method doesn't compare to the direct effect of absorbing the focus attribute. As he pondered, the scene changed to a busy city street with cars, pedestrians, and shops. Gu Shaoyang was startled. This looked like Earth from his past life. Shaoyang, let's be together. I'll do anything you ask. I love you, and I need to be with you forever. A beautiful woman with a stunning figure stood before him, holding his hand and pleading. Gu Shaoyang was surprised. Wasn't this the goddess from his youth, who he pined over for years? And now she was confessing to him. Heh. Gu Shaoyang chuckled. I see, this tests love, desire. Before he finished, the modern city faded away. He found himself in an antique room with a beauty in a thin robe looking at him with lustful eyes. Junior brother Gu, please show mercy. This beauty. She shed her clothes. Gu Shaoyang watched with interest, clapping his hands. I didn't know senior sister Xia had such a good figure. That this was Xia Qingqiu, whom Gu Shaoyang met in the outer sect. Xia Qingqiu wound herself around him like a snake, and Gu Shaoyang could feel her soft skin, but his eyes remained clear, and he wore a playful smile. Alright, senior sister Xia, I can't play with you anymore, or I might not be able to control myself next time I see you. Gu Shaoyang smiled and shook his head, reaching out to absorb the attribute bubbles. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha ha ha. Bei Hanshan, watching the water curtain, burst out laughing. He turned to Lei Lai, a mocking grin on his face. What a joke, for him to struggle so long with the desire barrier. Seems your precious disciple is quite the horn dog. Lei Lai, clearly annoyed, snapped back. What's wrong with being passionate? You want me to be like you, old and ugly and nobody wants you? Lei Lai, are you dense? I have kids and grandkids galore. You're the one stuck being a lonely old man. Bei Hanshan said smugly. If he's having this much trouble with the lust phase, how's he gonna handle the demon stage? You're gonna lose this bet, Lai. Lei Lai's face darkened. Elder Lin and Gu Jun exchanged worried glances. Gu Shaoyang was exceptionally talented, no doubt, but the 5 trials of Beishua tested willpower, not aptitude. Many bright talents lost their way here. Often, it was the less gifted, with their unwavering resolve, who excelled. Gu Shaoyang's rise had been meteoric, and they feared his resolve might not be solid enough. Just then, gasps and murmurs rippled through the Tianfeng and Beishua disciples. He's through. He cleared the 4th level already, that the elders looked at the water curtain. Gu Shaoyang stood before the entrance to the 5th level, Bei Hanshan's smile evaporated. He stared at the calm, blue-robed youth on the screen, muttering, impossible. Doesn't he have any demons? Even Jiang Lan, with his innate sword talent, couldn't breeze through it that fast. At that moment, the young man entered the 5th level. Less than 5 breaths later, he reappeared. Wow, that a wave of excitement swept the area. People surged forward, faces etched with shock and disbelief. Back-to-back clears. Is this guy even human? It's like the toughest levels were a walk in the park for him. How strong is his will? Look at the 2nd place, he's not even out of the 3rd level yet. These inner sect elites from Tianfeng and Beishue were no pushovers. They understood the 5 trials difficulty. The love-desire level was challenging enough, stopping most disciples. The original heart level was even more terrifying, cleared only by top figures. After all, you were fighting a self created by the formation, wielding your own strength, same moves, same techniques, same cultivation level. Everyone faced a brutal battle, but this Qingyun sect disciple broke through in 5 breaths. They were barely a speed bump. How powerful was this guy? Eyes widened in disbelief, Bei Hanshan froze, speechless, lay ecstatic, roared with laughter, less than an incense stick to clear all 5 levels. That's gotta be Beishue Villa's fastest time in a century. Bei Hanshan, Shaoyang's willpower is off the charts. How could you even guess? Give it up. The Beishue Villa faces were grim, but they couldn't argue. Gu Shaoyang, elders and disciples alike fixed their gaze on the calm, blue-clad figure on the water curtain, etching the name in their minds. In the crowd of Tianfeng Valley disciples, a handsome man glared at Gu Shaoyang's image, resentment burning in his eyes. At Beishue Villa, a young man with a cold aura narrowed his eyes, as if wanting to kill. He would never forget this face. After clearing the 5th level, Gu Shaoyang didn't see any new scenes. The illusion god stone that Gu Shaoyang found in the 4th and 5th stages was already of medium grade. The concentration and psychedelic properties have more than doubled than before. After absorbing a large number of concentration attributes, Gu Shaoyang found that his spirit had also undergone some changes. It seems that there is an ability similar to breaking delirium. The originally very realistic phantom array scene felt like watching a 3D movie in his eyes, and the realism was greatly reduced. So Gu Shaoyang didn't have the patience to finish the next 2 levels, so he just passed through them. Soon a Beishue Villa disciple approached him respectfully. Senior brother Gu, please come with me. Gu Shaoyang, surprised, asked, You know my name? The disciple, awestruck, nodded. Few at Beishue Villa don't know senior brother Gu's name. Gu Shaoyang was taken aback. The disciple explained, Senior brother Gu, you might not know, but you shattered our century-old record on the 5 trials. You're famous among the 4 sects. Gu Shaoyang realized that with the cheating and power leveling, he had no equal. The previous record holder was Bei Mushue, our Beishue Villa's eldest son, and that wasn't his first attempt but his personal best. Senior brother Gu's time was still almost an incense stick faster. No one's catching up to you anytime soon. The Beishue disciple didn't seem to care that Gu Shaoyang was from Qingyun sect. He practically idolized him. Gu Shaoyang smiled faintly. Then, he remembered something. Isn't your young master Bei Linjiang? I remember Ji Feng from Qingyun sect wanted to challenge him for a spot on the heroes ranking. He'd been too busy cultivating to keep up. The Beishue disciple said, Senior brother Gu, we have 2 young masters. Senior brother Bei Linjiang is the 2nd son. He beat senior brother Ji Feng 3 months ago and is now ranked 27th. As for the eldest son, the disciple puffed out his chest. He's 25 and ranked 4th on the list. Gu Shaoyang knew this was Wei Zhuang's peer. If he remembered correctly, Wei Zhuang was 3rd. These 2 were likely rivals, like Monsoon and Bei Linjiang. While chatting with the talkative Beishue disciple, he entered a hall packed with people. Heads turned as he stepped inside, some curious, some shocked, some in awe, some eager to spar. He heard someone whisper, That's Gu Shaoyang. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, kid, get over here. Lei Lai was stoked to see Gu Shaoyang and waved him over. Gu Shaoyang walked up, noticing Lei Lai was in high spirits. Elder Lin and Elder Gu Jun from Hanyu Valley looked just as happy. There were also two older guys, clearly dressed as elders from Beishua Villa. Their faces were like thunder, and they were giving Gu Shaoyang the stink eye. These two are elders Bei Hans Han and Bei Feng from Beishua Villa. They're huge fans of yours. Lei Lai clapped Gu Shaoyang on the back, chuckling. Elder Bei here insisted on giving you some local, mid-tier swordsmanship manual. I couldn't exactly say no, so I took it for you. Once Master's done with his practice, we'll get you started on it. Gu Shaoyang was taken aback, wondering why the Beishua Villa elder would give him a gift, but he still offered a polite, thank you, Elder Bei. Behanshan's expression darkened even further. Gu Shaoyang then scanned the disciples in the field. A lot of eyes were on him, but a few stood out. A sharp, intense gaze came from a young man who radiated coldness. Gu Shaoyang knew instantly who it was, Jiang Lan, the guy with the innate sword bone. No one else in the Juyuan realm could possibly have such intense sword intent. When Jiang Lan saw Gu Shaoyang notice him, he casually looked away. It was like a challenge had been issued. Gu Shaoyang had received it, and now all that was left was the clash of swords. Another notable figure was a Tianfeng Valley disciple with a calm demeanor. Gu Shaoyang figured he must be the top disciple from Tianfeng Valley, though he didn't know his name. Then there was a Beishua disciple with piercing eyes and two swords strapped to his back. The sword intent pouring off him was second only to Jiang Lan's. If Gu Shaoyang was guessing right, that was Jing Tong, the top inner sect disciple from Beishua Villa. He was Song Qinyu's old rival, but he hadn't broken through to Ningxin yet, so Gu Shaoyang didn't see him as a threat. Having sized up the key players from the other two sects, Gu Shaoyang stood his ground and waited. About 15 minutes later, Beishua disciples started leading people over. These were the Qinyan sect and Hanyu Valley disciples who had failed the Beishua 5 trials. Most of them looked pale and shaken. Everyone couldn't help but stare at Gu Shaoyang, their expressions a mix of emotions. It was the first time anyone had cleared all 5 trials faster than those who'd been eliminated. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they probably wouldn't have believed it. Seeing Gu Shaoyang's calm expression, like he'd just strolled back from a walk, they even wondered if someone had secretly rigged the trials for him. How else could he have finished so quickly? But that was pretty unlikely. Gu Shaoyang was a Qinyan sect disciple, not from Beishua Villa. And hadn't they noticed the two Beishua elders looking like they wanted to murder someone? More and more failures trickled in, most getting knocked out in the second or third trial. A few of the better ones made it to the fourth, but no one cleared it. That included Hanyu, the top inner sect disciple from Hanyu Valley. He'd been eliminated in the 4th trial. He was soaked in cold sweat and could barely stand, having to be helped to the hall by 2 other disciples. Everyone was shocked. Usually, a top-tier talent should have no problem passing all 5 trials. The only question was how fast they could do it. Gu Jun from Hanyu Valley sighed and glanced at Hanyu, at a loss for words. He knew that Hanyu's martial spirit had almost broken after his fight with Gu Shaoyang. Overcoming that kind of mental block was a long shot. Gu Shaoyang spotted Ji Xian again. She'd been knocked out in the 3rd trial. He didn't know what she'd gone through in there, but her face was constantly flushed, and she kept glancing at Gu Shaoyang. When Gu Shaoyang looked her way, she'd bolt like a startled deer. Once everyone had finished the trials, Behanshan, as the host, announced with a scowl, the disciples will now show you to your accommodations. Beishua Villa has arranged rooms for everyone. Tomorrow at midnight, the 4-sect competition will officially begin. With that, he and Bei Feng stormed off. The disciples from Beishua Villa and Tianfeng Valley also left, with the remaining 2 disciples from Qinyan sect and Hanyu Valley. Lei Lai clapped Gu Shaoyang on the shoulder and grinned, "Good job, kid. Go wipe the floor with that old geezer from Behanshan tomorrow." Gu Shaoyang just chuckled, shaking his head. The sun peeked over the snow-capped mountains, painting the entire northern landscape in gold. Gu Shaoyang stood atop the mountain, witnessing the spectacle. He felt like he had a sun hidden inside him, too bright to look at, but it vanished just as quickly. Gu Shaoyang exhaled, a look of understanding on his face. He turned and jumped off the peak. The freezing wind whipped his robes as he descended. From a distance, Gu Shaoyang looked like a snow goose diving from the heavens. He landed on a massive platform. The ground was clear and clean. To prepare for today's competition, the Beishua Villa staff had been up early, clearing the snow. The sun climbed higher, and disciples wearing the colors of the four sects arrived from all directions, growing the crowd. Brother Gu, that the Qingyun sect disciples greeted him and stood respectfully behind him. Lei Lai and the others arrived last, followed by a young man in white with a stoic look. Gu Shaoyang's eyes narrowed. Ji Feng had arrived earlier than expected, and he radiated more energy than the last time Gu Shaoyang had seen him. Ji Feng's eyes flickered when he saw Gu Shaoyang. Even he hadn't imagined that the kid who'd caused such a stir in the outer sect competition would rise so far in just a few months, now almost on par with him. There were also some unfamiliar faces from Beishua Villa. Gu Shaoyang noticed Ji Feng staring at a Beishua disciple with a stern face and an arrogant air. He was also at the Ningzhen realm. Bei Linjiang, that had to be him. Was Ji Feng planning on settling some old score with Bei Linjiang? Before they knew it, the hour had arrived. A middle-aged man with a commanding presence and an aura as vast as the ocean appeared in the sky above the arena and announced, "The four-sect competition has officially begun." Everyone looked at the man with awe, including Lei Lai and the others. It was Bei Hanjue, the head of Beishua Villa, at the peak of Xian Dan. He was one of the strongest people in the Great Yuan Kingdom and had been a legend in his own right when he was younger. The competition was divided into 2 rounds, the first being defense. The top disciples from each of the 4 inner sects would come forward to accept challenges from disciples of the other 3 sections. Each sect only got 1 chance to challenge. After the defense portion, the top disciples would fight each other, and the remaining disciples could challenge anyone from the other sections. Whichever sect's disciples won the most matches would win.